All right, what's going on, you guys? It's your boy Jake, your favorite investor. And tonight we've got the whiteboard and the Sharpie, so you know what that means. We are going to break down numbers. I'm going to let you guys jump in on the live. Welcome. Come one, come all. We're going to break down some numbers. We're going to answer some questions. I did a live earlier at the property that's like 5-10 minutes away from where we live. Walked it with the wifey. And now we're going to break down the numbers, how the deals are really done outside of what everything looks like inside the house and the layout and all that kind of stuff. So come on in, y'all. I'm going to give it another 30 seconds and we'll break it down. What up, Chelsea? I'm going to add Chelsea as the moderator. Let's see if we do this. Add as moderator. Confirm. You added Chelsea as the moderator. I also have a link. I'll do this while you guys are coming in. Give me one sec. Ooh. We got a new link, my friends. Pin comment. All right, there we go. Now, good to see you. Welcome. Come one, come all. It's your boy Jake, your favorite investor. For those of you, well, actually, before we even get into it, what's up, DC? Baby Boosie? All right, so who is new? Who is new to the page? Who is new to these lives? Who's new to this stuff? That's going to dictate how I kind of explain things. We're going to go over the same numbers, but we'll go either really fast or we'll break it down very simple. Either way, you're going to get the same numbers at the end of the day. But if you are new, give me like the yellow hand or a hashtag new. Are you going to talk more about the Bitcoin investing? We don't do Bitcoin investing. And there are scammer accounts out there that are doing stuff like that. All right, so it's Diana MRTZ01. Welcome. Treasures Resurrected. Welcome. Heaven's Exclusive. Welcome. Welcome to the page. Good to see you. Thanks for coming. All right, we got Oak to DC. New. Welcome. 82 Yari. Welcome. It's Diana. Welcome. I think I already said welcome to you. Jacqueline Lincita. Welcome. Hey, you guys. Hey, just real quick. What's up, Lydia? If you're seeing any pages that are reaching out to you with my picture, talking to you about Bitcoin, that is not my page. There's 10 to 15 scammer accounts. All of them are out of Nigeria. If you go look in about this account, that are copying my name, putting extra T's or extra L's or extra E's or whatever. I do not have backup accounts. The folks that are DMing you from those accounts, report and block them. That is not me. They're asking people to send money. They're saying they do coaching or Bitcoin or whatever. That is not me. That is a scam account. Report, block, and move on, right? They will go away if people ignore them. Unfortunately, it's not that easy, but just as a heads up, all right? So Bullseye Bullies, welcome. Glow Pagaran, welcome. Gridisalader, welcome from Kansas City. Chris, welcome. Spartan's Painting LLC 1, welcome. Jesus XO4, welcome. So we got enough new people. I'm in Tennessee now, and the one today is going to be Tennessee. No, it's all good. Sorry, they're not from Nigeria. Actually, did you guys know that Nigerian Americans, out of every nationality that's immigrated to the United States and become a U.S. citizen, Nigerian Americans by far make the highest amount of money. A lot of doctors, a lot of attorneys. Nothing against Nigerians. I'm just saying, if you look at those accounts, I am based out of the United States. All the scam accounts are based out of Nigeria. That should be a giveaway. Be careful. Use discernment when you're getting those DMs, all right? So, yes, I flip houses all over the United States. I just moved to Tennessee from California. I have a lot of flips on the West Coast. I got some flips in the Midwest. And now, my friends, I've got some flips, actually just one flip in the town that I live in right now in Eastern Tennessee. And that's the one I did a live on earlier today. And we're going to break down the numbers. So for those of you who are new, my name is Jake Leicht. I'm a real estate investor. Been doing this for almost 11 years. I flipped over 900 houses. But what makes it unique is, I'm not a real estate agent. I've never been a real estate agent. I started this game with zero experience. I went to a seminar way back in 2011. Put it on my girlfriend's credit card, who's now my wife and sitting here in the room with me. What's up, babe? Give me a shout.
Hey.
So I've been doing it for a while. I've had a lot of ups and downs, but I am not an agent. You don't have to be an agent to play this game. Secondly, I'm not a contractor, right? Even though I'm doing one in the town that I live in now, I do a lot of them all across the country. I don't do construction. This wall's back here, if you were to open them up, I don't know really how the things work behind them. So I get the right people on my team to do the good work and I pay them accordingly, okay? And the third thing, and probably what's most fascinating or important to other folks, just make sure we're up to speed on this. The thing that's most important, fascinating, the thing that breaks false belief patterns is we do this without using our own money. It's 100% other people's money. That means not a dime comes out of our own pockets, okay? So over 900 houses. I'm not a realtor. Didn't have experience when I started. I'm not a contractor. I don't know construction. And I'm not using a dime of my own money from the time that I started in this game when I was dead broke as a joke, till now where we have a little bit of money, right? I still do it the same way, leveraging private money, the same way that you can do it, the same way that anybody just is getting their start in the game can do it, the same way we're doing it now after we've had hundreds of flips, okay? So that's a perspective we're going to take as we break down these numbers on the whiteboard. We did walk through the house, and it's fun to do that. And I like creating content and talking about what we're going to do on properties, but it's not necessary, right? This game is played on paper, okay? It's the numbers, it's the trends, it's how we analyze deals, it's the amount of money that we can make on a deal. That's how you get private money. That's how you make offers. That's how you can know for sure, certainly, that a deal is a good deal, or if a deal is a bad deal, or if you need to back out of a deal or move forward with a deal, whatever it is, it's all on paper or on a spreadsheet, right? If you're in the mentorship program or if you're in the coaching program, you know that we have calculators, all right? So with that being said, we're going to break it down. Are you good? You have any questions?
No.
I got the wifey here watching me. It's making me all nervous. Right? I'm focusing on you, focusing on her. I think she's giving me that look, if you know what I mean. All right, so we're going to break this. Now, if you guys have been on my lives before, for the new folks, welcome, okay? For those of you that are the OGs, the usual suspects that have been on these before, some of you have been on hundreds of these, the calculation and the formula that we're going to put together on this, it's the same one as every deal that I do. We just plug in new numbers because different houses have different valuations. And at the end of the day, there's a certain price point or profitability that we strive to get. And if it hits that profitability, it's a go. And if it doesn't, it's not. And we back out, okay? So we call it the universal formula or the universal calculation. It's the same thing every single time. Follow along. Oh, another thing, you are going to see all this stuff backwards, okay? This is my left hand. You guys see it as my right hand. And so when I write all the numbers, don't feel like you're dyslexic or tripping out, okay? You do see them backwards. So it's important that you listen, you follow along, you pay attention. And if you have questions, throw them in the chat. I can answer them. If I see them, Carlene's got the live over here. And so if she sees a question that I don't, she'll ask it from the peanut gallery. We got Chelsea moderating it. There's a lot of folks that are within our coaching programs. I'm sure that'll pay attention and get some of those questions answered as well. And let's do it. All right. Does that sound good? Anywho, you ready to go?
Yep, let's do it.
Y'all ready to go? Okay, so anytime a property comes across my desk, whether it be from a real estate agent, from a wholesaler, anybody that is trying to get me to buy a deal, right? Typically, they send it over and they're like, hey, check out this deal. Look, it's all beat up. It's beat to shit. It's falling over. Look how bad it looks. I know you can put money into it, and I know that you could sell it for more. I've seen your Instagram or whatever it is. I know that if you have a good kitchen, I just have a good feeling that it's going to sell for 80 grand more, okay? And that's great, and I do appreciate those good feelings, but if the property comes across my desk and someone's trying to sell me on what the property currently looks like, I put them on speakerphone. I may say, yeah. But what I do is I'll take my phone, and yes, I got two phones. I'll go on Redfin or Zillow, and I'll look in that same neighborhood from an overhead map, and I'm going to look at everything that's sold within the last few months that's a similar size as the property they're trying to get me to buy, and also a similar age, okay? I want the year built to be within about 10 years or so, give or take. And I also want the size to be within about 10% of my subject property. For example, the property that we're talking about today is a 3,000 square foot property. So I want properties that have sold recently, last 3 to 6 months or so, that are between 2,700 and 3,300 square feet, built between, ours is 1976, right?
76, yeah.
So built between 1964 and 1988, somewhere in that range. Typically homes in each neighborhood are built within the same decade anyway, but that's what I'm looking for. I'm not going to have, a home built in 1976 and then look at that new construction that was right down the street that was built. That's going to be a different price point. if I can find a bunch of, we call these comps, comparable properties, if I can find 3 or more of those, and there's a trend, like they're selling consistently, right? In the last 3 months, last 6 months, if I can see like 400, 405, 390, 395, if they're all pretty close to each other, then that makes it so I am interested. That is sexy to me. Now, babe, you're sexy, don't get me wrong.
Hi.
But that is very sexy to me. And that is what that's how I give myself permission to put more energy, focus, and effort into it. Okay, let me see if I have Redfin open to the property that we're looking at right now. Oh, I do. So I'll actually show you exactly what I'm looking at. So in this neighborhood, right here, I'll show you a really good one. And the neighborhood we're looking at on Redfin, and you can kind of see it, maybe not, there's properties all around it. The one directly behind it sold last month for $675,000. 1 block away sold for $642,000. Another block away that's on a main street sold for $550,000. Like 3 blocks away, we've got one that wasn't renovated that sold for $545,000. So they're all over the place, and there's a couple at $600,000. Okay, so most of them are hovering right around at the lowest, like, you know, 565, and the highest 675, but there's a lot of them right there in that 600 range. That trend is enough for me to look at a property further. Okay, so with this property, I begin with the end in mind, and the trend is important because that tells us what our property will be able to sell for. Excuse my language, gosh. I'm gonna try it again. What our property will be able to sell for when our property is said and done. Okay, like when all the renovations are done, like we clean everything up, paint, new kitchen, open the walls, new bathrooms, new flooring. Okay, that trend tells us what our property will be able to sell for. So we begin with the end in mind. We have a clear end goal, and then we work backwards. Okay, I don't necessarily pay as much attention to the current state of the property as much as I pay attention to trying to find a readable resale number on the property. Okay, so this one, let's say 600. 600 is good. I think it's nice and conservative. I think we'll sell it for more, especially since the one right around the block sold for 675. But there's numbers that kind of go below that 600 as well. So 600 is what I am going to anticipate selling it for very conservatively. If I sell it for more, great, but I'm planning on this number. Okay, so if you heard me from the beginning, right, you also know I'm not a licensed real estate agent. I don't try to be one. I don't try to go negotiate the deals with the direct buyer or with the direct seller. I typically do that through real estate agents, right? Local real estate agents in whatever market I'm flipping it, whether it's here in my city or 3,000 miles away in California, okay? I use local real estate agents to coordinate the transaction, do that dirty work. I'm an emotional cat, right? So I don't want to get pissed at a seller or buyer or yell at anybody and blow up a deal, right? I want those agents who are buttoned up, they're patient, they're the ones that like to do open houses on the weekend and take those late night calls and do all that kind of fun stuff. Where we're going to an amusement park this weekend, right? I'm coaching my kids' baseball practice on Sunday and Monday, actually, right? That's what I do with my weekends. Where these real estate agents, they're the ones hustling and grinding, coordinating these transactions for these homes, okay? Now, with a real estate agent, when you sell a house, you pay both your agent, the seller's agent, as well as the buyer's agent. But that money only comes out if the deal closes. So the 600 grand, it'll come in from the new buyer. And if that deal closes, the agents get a commission. I typically pay a 5% commission, meaning about $30,000 will come right off the top only if this deal sells. I'm not paying them out of pocket up front, but it does come out of the total profit, okay? So if I can sell this house for 600 grand, 5% of that, if it closes, goes out to the agents involved, my agent and the buyer's agent, right? They are working to close the deal on my behalf and on the buyer's behalf. Okay, so that comes right off the top, 30K, right? 15 grand to one agent, 15 to the other agent, all right? Now, secondly, there's usually a title company that coordinates the transaction. They take the money from the buyer, they disperse it to me, they take ownership from me, they give it to the new buyer, they make sure my property taxes are up to speed, there's no violations on the home. They make sure everything is clean, okay? So property taxes, clearing violations, all that kind of fun stuff. Typically, that price is between 1% and 2% of the transaction amount, of the sale amount, okay? So it's going to be between 6 and 12 grand, and that's only paid if the deal closes. I'm not paying them up front either, okay? It's only paid if the deal closes. So between 6 and 12 grand, I'm going to say 6 grand. It's probably going to be around 5 or 6 grand. We'll say 6, and that comes off the top only if the deal closes. So deals put across my desk. I analyze what I can resell it for. I take away 5% realtor commissions. I take another 1 or 2% in closing costs. And so if I sell it for 600 and you take 36 away, we're at 564. Does that make sense? Does everybody understand that? Do we have any questions? How often do you run into title contingencies, especially with the upcoming economic state? I do not think that there is an upcoming economic state. We understand what real estate economics are for each neighborhood by running comps and trends of recent properties that have sold. The more recent, the better. But title issues aren't a big deal. People have more, every once in a while, very rarely, we run into something where there's like a lien on the property that they didn't know, or they owe back property taxes and it takes a little bit longer. But if let's say when I'm buying the house, the title company, with the money that I pay to buy the property, they pay all the liens off first, and then they give the seller everything that's left over. Okay, but we are using investor money. Chelsea, I don't know who you're answering, but there's no like economic state that's gonna create a title issue, right? It's the person owns the house. There's typically a lien with the mortgage, right, from their lender. They got to pay their lender. They got stuff like that, right? If there's an HOA violation, they have to pay the fee. If there's back taxes, they got to pay that, and they get everything that's left over. They typically know everything that's on title. It's called how title is clouded. They typically know that when they agree to sell a house and list the house on the open market. They typically know what to expect after everybody's paid off at the end of the day with each price point. Okay, so if I can sell it for 600, 564 approximately is coming to me, okay, or to my LLC, or to me and my wife's LLC, right? What's mine is hers. Okay, does that make sense? Give me a thumbs up if it does, and let me take a drink of water. If you have any questions, if you need to screenshot that and switch it around on your phone, feel free. Do you see thumbs up on your thing? Because I see everything super late.
Yeah, mine's late too.
Okay.
No, I don't see any thumbs up.
We have 1 thumbs up. There's somebody that gets what the hell I'm talking about over here. Okay, cool. Thank you, Halston Realtor. D. Cozier. I appreciate you, my friend. If you guys are interested in learning how to do this kind of stuff, click the link down here or the link in my bio. We got coaching programs. I've helped thousands of people through being keynote speaker, advanced coach, through my own mentorship programs over the last 6-7 years. I enjoy doing it, and it changes a lot of people's lives the same way it's changed mine. It's very empowering to be able to walk through any economic situation, any neighborhood, and be able to create opportunity for ourselves and for our legacies through real estate. If that's something that's speaking to you, click the link here or above or wherever the hell it's at, okay? All right, so with this property, so when the property's sent to me, whether it's an agent sending it to me, whether it's a wholesaler sending it to me, whether it's for sale by owner, this is the process that I go through up front before I even determine whether it's worth my time and energy to analyze what I would pay for it, okay? So in addition to getting stuff from realtors, from wholesalers, from for sale by owner and all that kind of stuff, I also have auto searches with all the Zillows and the Redfins. I have certain little kind of hacks that I put into these applications, and they're free apps that everybody can use, where I get a specific email with a specific buzz, and my phone is set up with very specific notifications to let me know if opportunity is sending me a text or a notification, right? So I got one, today is Thursday, so I got one on Tuesday night. And I saw it come up in one of the target neighborhoods that, is 5 to 10 minutes away from me. And I saw what they were asking for it. And that was very sexy. And I ran a quick, it's called running comps. I looked up what I could resell it for. I was like, ooh, this is an opportunity. And so they were asking $320,000 for this house. So it was like, either that's a typo or this thing is fucked up. Excuse my language, but this thing is just beat it's a beater house. There's got to be a foundation issue or something like that. And so I saw who it was listed by, the listing agent, and I searched her information online. Liz, what's up if you're watching? And I sent her a text, and I called her the wrong name. I was like, hey, interested in this property on Main Street. Very interested, cash buyer. Let me know, can I get some information about it? Can I go see it? Like, how do you want to talk? And she didn't respond. And so the next morning, I hit her up again. I called and I sent her a text. And she responded, which was yesterday. She said, I'll be at the house between 1:30 and 3. And that's it, right? So feel free to come and, blah, 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 blah. And so I had something at 1:30. So at 2:30, I left my house and got over there about 2:40. There was 20 minutes left. And I looked at the house, and it was in shitty condition, right? It's built in 1976. Like, the carpets are likely from 1976. The wood paneling's from 1976. But the roof is good. It needs new windows. The central heat and air is good. And the foundation is good. So everything that would cost a ton of money is all good. So we need to do some major work to the inside and the exterior as well. But we don't have to switch up the foundation. We don't have to do anything with severe mold. We don't, it's not a firehouse or anything. So I was sitting there talking with her and kind of get an idea of what the motivation is from the seller. And she let me know that's an elderly couple that lives in Florida. They haven't been at the house in over a decade. They've owned it for a long time. There's been a tenant in the house, the same tenant, for 12 months. They hadn't been paying rent. They finally got these people evicted, and they just want it gone now. I said, perfect. I can help them get it gone now. I'll give you the $320 for this house. We can close it real quick. She's like, we got offers higher. And I was like, what are those offers that are higher? And she said, well, I can't tell you that. I said, well, why don't you just cough twice if I get to a number that would work? And so I said, how about 325? And she was looking at me. I said, well, how about 330? She was looking at me. How about 335? She was looking at me. I said, well, how about 340? And she goes, I said, okay, fucking 340. I'll do 340. I could do 340 for sure. And so I'm like, 340 is good. I'm going to drive home. She's like, they're making a decision by 4 o'clock. And it's like 3:05 or something like that at this time. They're making a decision by 4 o'clock. You need to figure it out quick. And let me know. I'm happy to work with you. I said, if you can help me get this property, I'll resell it with you and you can get that commission on the resale. Right? So we created some rapport in that half hour or so. There's all sorts of people in the house with they've got, notebooks. They're like, oh gosh, yeah. Oh yeah. I'm like, dude, I can sell this house for $600. There's no foundation issue. There's no mold issue. It's in decent shape. It's just everything needs to go, and it's outdated on the interior. It's cosmetic. So it's like, whether it costs me $50,000 or $100,000 to fix the house, from at the time, 340 to 600, like, that's a deal. So it's like, all right, 340 it is. So I came home, talked to Carlene. I was like, let's do this. And I showed her the numbers because I'm bringing her in to manage the contractor, which, are you pumped about that?
Totally.
You a little nervous?
No.
And we're looking at it. I was like, this is a go, right? Worst case scenario, it sells for, $565, $575, which is still a deal. And best case, it could go all the way up to $675, which is also a great deal. And so I pick up my phone. I start texting her. All right, here's all my information. Here's the entity I want to buy it with. Here's the closing time frame. Here's this, 340. Let's do it. Let's get it locked in right now. And right before I press send, she's like, you're going to have to be a little bit higher. She said she got another offer from somebody. She wouldn't tell me, but we did the whole cough twice thing. And once I got up to 355, she coughed twice. Okay. So I put it under contract at 355. I was like, if I can offer this and have this closing time frame and all this information, can I get it? Like, can you help me get this house? Right? I'm making the offer right now. You send it over to me. Here's all the information. So we locked that bad boy in. Literally an hour after I left, I had a commitment that this house is mine. I have a 21-day close, which is actually a little bit longer than usual. But we are at 355. Okay? Now, do you see, like, even without the rehab numbers, can you see the opportunity here? If I buy it for 355, I have a pretty good amount of wiggle room with renovation costs that I could put into this to still be very, very good and very, very profitable, right? So that's how I locked it in, right? There's literally not too much that can happen that would make it so that this is not a screaming deal for me, okay? Like, it's not going to be a $200,000 rehab budget. I'm not tearing the whole house down. It's going to get up there depending on what type of finishes we put into the house. But out here in this area, since moving here, I have a couple of my best friends who are also moving here to Knoxville, Tennessee, to Eastern Tennessee. And we all kind of made the commitment that we're all coming out here. And they started, before coming out here, they started putting properties under contract and started flipping houses out here. And for me, I wanted to get out here first, get the kids in school. We really wanted to figure out what we're doing. But this opportunity came up. So I have some of my best buddies in my network that have contractors that give investor pricing, that don't ask for advances. And so I hit them up. I was like, hey, you have a couple properties that are about 3,000 square feet that were total gut remodels, right? Well, yeah. It's like, what's your guy charging you? All right, 75 grand, 80 grand. I'm like, boom, that's perfect. So upon locking it in, my number is 75 grand. Now that may jump up a little bit. It may be a little bit lower. It may jump up to 90. Either way, it's still a good deal. But for right now, my placeholder and what I'm anticipating with this deal is about $75,000 to flip this house, 5 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, 3,000 square feet on, 2/3 of an acre in a great neighborhood where properties are going off the hook, okay? So 355 plus 75, that's what, 430? Is that 430, Ben?
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
355 plus 75 is 430, okay? There's still a couple more numbers that we have to take into consideration. One is closing costs on this side. When I buy the house, I have to pay my part to the title company in order to make sure the transaction's good, that, the money that I put into the title company gets to the seller, that the ownership of the house gets to my entity, that everything's up to speed with property taxes. I pay my share of property taxes for half of a year, making sure that this isn't an HOA. It's like $41 a month. So need to make sure that everything with the HOA transfer documents, it's in my name now, right? So that's also typically between 1% and 2% of this transaction amount. So it's between $3,500 and $7,000. I'm going to say about $4 grand. And then on top of that, if I'm anticipating this to be a 6-month total flip, which I think it'll be done a little bit quicker than that, but let's say 6 months, right? I buy it on September 21st. What would that be? Like in February or March, I end up reselling it, which I think it'll be before that, but who knows? Sometimes it's slower during the winter, and that's fine. So for 6 months, for me to pay HOA for $41 a month, right? That's what, like 200, 250 bucks. I was gonna say 2,000. My wife is laughing. I can't do lives with my wife right here, just sitting watching me, dude. This is crazy. So a few $100 there. Like water, sewer, trash, electrical, gas, all that kind of stuff, and vacant property insurance for those 6 months as well. It's probably going to be about $2 grand, maybe even $3 grand. Let's go on the higher side. Say $3 grand. Okay. So if I buy the property for $355, which is what the hell we are doing, if we put 75 into rehab, right, that's a total of $430,000. Put $4 grand into closing costs, that's $434, and $3 grand into utilities, property tax, holding costs, that's $437. Okay, $437 going into the deal to flip it. If I sell it for $600 grand, which the neighborhood trends tell me I'll be able to sell it for around there, after paying the realtor and closing costs on the resale, $564 comes back. That's a difference there of 430, 47, 57, so 120. That's $127,000. If I sell it for $675, that's over $200 grand. If I was to use my own cash, okay. Now, the bigger this number is, the more lenders will be fighting each other to have us consider them for giving them the opportunity to give us their cash to flip the house. Now, try to say that again because that was kind of weird. The bigger this number is, the more lenders will battle each other for the opportunity to give us their cash to be able to flip this house. Okay? I've just sent it out to one lender. He's sending it out to his group of like 7 lenders. He looked at it. He was like, "You could sell this for way more than $600,000, right?" Which is great. I was like, "Yeah, I know, but I could also sell it for a little bit less. Either way, we're good." And so, typically, lenders, hard money lenders, private money lenders, I call them Uncle Rico, right? Your rich friend or cousin or whatever it is. I didn't have rich friends or cousins, so I had to use hard money lenders when I first started in this game. I was broke. I had $700, and I was buying a house that was like $200,000. That was my first flip. So I had to find somebody to lend money on these. The difference between OPM private lenders and the banks is the banks are going to look at this and say, yeah, that's a great deal and all, but let me get your tax returns, your credit score, let me see your credit profile, let me see your bank statements, let me see your W-2s from the last 2 years, I'm going to comb through your credit card statement and look at every transaction for the last 3 months. They're like, what'd you buy at Foot Locker? What'd you buy at Dick's Sporting Goods? What the hell did you do in Vegas? Write me a letter of explanation. I don't know if we'll give you the loan. So traditional banks, they're looking at you and your credit profile, okay? Now, private money lenders and OPM lenders, they say, okay, I'm going to run your credit. Let me just make sure you're Jake, right? But let me look at this deal to make sure that it's safe and it's something where you have proven statistics to back this up, which, at the end of the day, I have a trend of comparable properties in the neighborhood, right? I have my contract of me buying it for this price point, and then I'm going to have a bunch of bids from lenders that ideally are right around there, okay? So I put it in front of the lender. What these hard money lenders, private money lenders, they put what's called a lien on the property. What that lien does is if I, do something shady, flee the country, I'm like, you know what, screw you guys. I'm not going to do this anymore. Good luck. They can foreclose on the property, take over the property, and all the profit that's in it. Okay? It's a very safe situation. Or I wouldn't say safe. It's a very low risk situation for these lenders. The higher this amount of profit is. Okay? So the lower my in and the higher my out, the bigger the gap is, or the bigger the profit is, the more lenders will be willing, able, and a lot of times begging for the opportunity to give you their cash to flip the house. Okay, I have a really good lender that I do a lot of my deals with. I sometimes keep him honest by bidding stuff out. Usually bid stuff out. But I sent it to him. He was like, I'll have this funded tomorrow. Like, I'll have funding commitments. I can probably lend based on higher than $600,000. Okay, now I need 437 to make this happen, right? 437 put into the deal in order to make to sell it for about $600,000, maybe higher. So the lender that I have and the way that these lenders operate, he's going to give me 70% of what he believes the resale value is. Okay? 70% of this number is $420,000. Okay? 420, man. It's 420. So I need 437 to do this, and one lender, because I just got it under contract at a good deal, I understand how to run my numbers, and I'm going to get contractor bids around there. Of the 437 I need, almost $500,000, they're going to cover 420 of it. Okay, that leaves me with only $17,000 that I need to either come out of my own pocket with, or as an alternative, bring another lender in to cover that down payment for me, okay? So I'm just in need of $17,000. Another thing, though, is this lender that's bringing the $420,000 is going to charge me 9% annual interest, okay? It's just interest-only payments. And just so you understand what that means, 12% annual interest means 1% per month for as long as I own the property. If I only own it for 3 months, he's charging me 3%. If I own it for 6 months, he's charging me 6%. Okay? On the first of every month, that's when I make my interest payment. Today's the first, by the way. I paid a shit ton in interest payments for the 17 flips we have. Now, I'm going to ask my homegirl Siri right here. We'll break this down. What is 9% of 420,000? $37,800. He's not talking to me out loud, okay? 37,800 over 12 months. What is 37,800 divided by 12? That means for this lender to come through, I need to have $3,150 per month, okay? $3,150 per month. If I'm anticipating holding it for 6 months, right, that's like $18,500 in interest that goes to the lender, okay? So then bringing this in, instead of $127,000, I pay $18,000 in interest, and I have $109,000 in profit, okay? But remember, I need to bring the $17,000 difference in, either out of my pocket or from a partner, plus I need to figure out a way to pay $18,000 in interest over the 6 months too. So $17,000 plus $18,000 in interest, realistically, I somehow have to come in with $35K. So if I do this deal with my own $35,000, right, I use $35,000 of my own money, I leverage $420,000 from private lenders to buy a house, you know, that has an all-in for $437,000 in order to sell it for $600,000. I can put 35 into this deal and make $110,000 within 6 months, where I'm not doing the marketing or selling of the house. I'm also not doing the work on the house. All I did was lock it in under contract by programming my phone with a free app on Redfin. All right. Now I can do that, and that'd be great. I can also bring somebody else to give me that $35,000 that's needed. We call that a gap funder. They can give that money to me. That will pay for everything I need. That'll have 6 months of interest payments for the 420 lender. And I could give them a huge return. I could say I could give you 50% on your money. They give me $35,000. When I resell the property, I give you that $35,000 back plus $17,500. I'd still be making $92,000 in that scenario. Now, the gap funders I have, they charge me 1% per month. So literally, I could either bring my own $35,000 into this deal in order to make $109,000, or I can have somebody else give me that $35,000. I pay them $350 a month for 6 months. What is that? Come on, baby. What is that?
I'm Siri.
What is 35,000 times 6%? So it's 12% interest, but only for 6 months. It's $2,100, right? So I would probably want to, instead of paying my own $35,000 to get $109,000 back, instead I'll let somebody else put $35,000 into it, and instead of making $109,000, I'll pay them $2,000 in interest, and $107,000 comes back to me. Okay, that's a pretty freaking good deal. That's a 6-figure flip with $0 out of my own pocket. It's covered by one lender at $420,000, one lender at $35,000. Nothing from me, but after everybody gets their share, right? The sellers are ecstatic that they're selling this house. The contractor gets their money. The real estate agents, I should have circled this. The real estate agents get their cut. One of them gets to sell a beautiful house. The other one gets to put the perfect family into their beautiful house, right? Everybody gets paid to make this whole thing work. And at the end of the day, there's this much left over. Pretty good, yeah? I mean, I think so. Do you?
Yeah.
Mama needs some new shoes? So that's how the game works. Now, here's some questions. What happens if instead of $75,000, it costs me $90,000? Well, it's going to cost me about $15,000 more, which means I'm going to make a little bit more than $15,000 less. So instead of $107,000, I'm going to make $92,000. Okay. Let's say all these numbers stay in point, and instead of selling it for $600,000, I sell it for $675,000. Instead of making $107,000, I'm going to make $182,000 at the end of the day, right? So this calculation and this formula is super important. I'll tell you guys, this is my criteria for running numbers with anything. And I do these a lot on the whiteboard, but I have a calculator that does all this stuff, puts all these numbers together within like 30 seconds. Tells me if it's a deal or not. My criteria is at the end of the day, after everybody's paid off, I want to make a minimum of 10% of this number. So if my projected resale is $600,000, I want this number at the end of the day to be $60,000 or more. Okay? So I can sell it as low as $555,000 and still make $60,000 in profit at the end of the day, flipping a house without any of my money, without swinging a hammer and without having to go and do open houses on the weekend or talk directly to the end buyer. It's all through an agent, it's all through a contractor, and it's all through lenders. But because I coordinate everything and I run my numbers correctly and I'm aggressive and I'm willing to take action and take imperfect action, and when I see an opportunity, I don't wait for the perfect timing, I go after it, right? That's the reason I put myself in place to make anywhere between 100 and 180 grand on one flip just from doing stuff on Redfin and calling a few people as soon as I saw opportunities, okay? That's how the game's played. That's how I flipped 900 houses. That's how people in my programs have flipped thousands of houses, millions, tens of millions of dollars in profit made because they know how to run numbers. And I think even more importantly, they have a mindset that they're willing to take action now rather than wait until a perfect opportunity to take action tomorrow, okay? Good today is better than great tomorrow as far as opportunities are concerned, okay? Does that make sense? Do you guys want to look at this? Like screenshot it, whatever you want to do. But hook a brother up with a thumbs up if this makes sense, or let me know if you have any questions whatsoever. Not everybody at once now. Not everybody at once.
There's a delay.
No, I know. It's okay. No, I think we did a good job. I felt very good about one person. We've got one Bull Fargo. Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. Armando Macias. Love pink. Nub 8271. Not to be confused with Nub 8272. Nina 9 shots. So gap funders, these funders that bring in this amount at the end of the day, the essentially helping us with down payment and stuff like that, they charge anything. They name their price. Now, it's up to you on whether you want to accept it. If they got crazy and they were like, I'll give you the 35 grand, but you give me my money back and give me an additional $50,000 at the end of the day, I just have to look at what my end number is, okay? I'd say, like when I first started, gap funders that were available to me were charging 20% or 25% cash on cash, which means if they gave me 35 grand, when I resell the house, I give them 35 grand back plus 20% on top of it, which would be $7,000, right? Okay, well, I'll make 102 then instead of 107, right? Like, you just have to look at where the final number is. When high interest rate gap funders, when it really makes a difference, is when these numbers are tighter. Like, if this number right here was, 410 grand, might not be able to do this. I'd be probably sweating bullets right now. But because I was able to get, I put this under contract for, $35,000 higher than what they were asking. Because I wanted to get it, I would have gone up way higher. But because these numbers all make sense, like, it's a go for me, right? I knew that I could pay over 100 grand in rehab if that's what the numbers come back at. I'm still making a really good amount of money and I'm very safe, okay?
All right, there's a question. Where does the 4 and the 3 come from?
Which 4, which 3?
On the left.
Okay, good question. The peanut gallery over here shot a question. So this is the universal calculation. These numbers up here on top are the most important part, okay? This is the purchase price. This is the rehab costs. This is closing costs. It's usually between 1 and 2% of the transaction amount. So it's going to be anywhere from $3,500 to 7 grand. Typically it's closer to 1%. So we just said $4,000. And 3 grand, this is holding costs. This is the cost for me to have vacant property insurance for the 6 months. It's the cost for me to pay HOA fees, which we've come out to $250. It's how I'm going to pay, utilities, gas, sewer, water, make sure that the house stays running while the contractors are working on it. So they got power, they got plumbing and all that kind of stuff. Okay. This number is typically between 2 and 3 grand for a 6-month project. A lot of times it's much less. Now over here on this side, this is what we call the ARV, the after repair value. These are realtor commissions. I have them as REC. It's 5% of the transaction amount. One agent gets 2.5%. The other agent gets 2.5%. And this is also closing costs. Again, the title company coordinates the transaction, helps me pay off my, the current property taxes, whatever it is. And it's usually between 1 and 2% of this amount. So I call this seller's closing costs. Now, this is the money that we have to either find the cash out of our own pocket or find a lender to put into the deal. This is what comes out of the deal, and these expenses are only paid if the money comes in and the deal closes. So these expenses are paid from the buyer's money if they actually go through and buy the property. I don't pay these up front. They're expenses on the deal, but I don't pay them up front, okay? So I call this the total project cost, TPC. I call this net revenue, NR, okay? And this right here would be my pure profit, 127 grand. That's what I would make if I was using my own cash. I put 437 grand into the deal, resell it for this price point, pay all these fees, 564 comes back. So putting 437 in, I would make a total profit of 127 grand, which, that's like, between 25 and 30% on my own money, which is excellent for 6 months. But it's even more excellent, make a little bit less, but put $0 into the deal. And my big risk is coordinating the transaction, making sure I have enough for me at the end of the day once everything's left over. This is how I've always built my portfolio when I was early on in the game. I lost everything. You remember that, babe?
Oh, yeah.
I lost everything that I had. I started making money. I thought, I let ego get to me. I thought that anything I did, I wouldn't have to put a ton of work into it. And I left myself vulnerable. God metaphorically slapped me in the face and said, you need to get some humility. Lost every dime that we had, right? And I had a lot of sleepless nights with that. I've done a lot. Listen, guys, I've made a lot of mistakes over the last decade. And I've got through all of them, and I was scared shitless of making mistakes. Now I'm not scared of them. I understand people do make mistakes, but the important part is how you react after you realize you made a mistake and how you're getting stuff back on course. This is how we do it. We run the numbers the right way. Now listen, if you guys are interested in learning how to put yourself in the same driver's seat, if this stuff speaks to you, if this makes sense, based on popular demand, we have the mentorship program closed down, right? We very rarely are putting people in while it's closed down, but I have a new coaching program. It's much less expensive than the mentorship program. I don't do one-on-ones in it, but we have coaches. We have advanced coaches from within our groups doing Zoom meetings where you have all my content, you have all my tools, my calculators, my scripts on how to talk to these lenders, how to talk to these contractors, how to talk to these agents, how to run your numbers. It's my business on a platter. And it's a little bit less expensive if that's what you're going for. Mentorship program is full one-on-one. That's where I work with you directly. But we have that, and that's the link down here. It's a newer thing. It's at a low price point right now. That price point will go up, but we need to prove, just like with the mentorship program, we need to prove and get you results, okay? Hit that link down there. Check out the little case study. Schedule a call with my team. I'll ask you questions. You ask us the hard questions. If it's a good fit, they give you the invite. If not, no big deal. If it's not a good fit, that's cool too. There's 14-day money-back guarantee. There's payment plans. There's all sorts of good stuff. But if this stuff speaks to you, I would say that in my personal opinion, I feel very strongly about this, I don't think there's ever been a more important time to be able to understand how to get into real estate investing, especially with what inflation's doing, with what the economy's doing. Typically, most people have a fixed income, and with the value of the dollar crashing down, right? Inflation means your dollar is worth less every single month, okay? With that occurring, and if you're not getting a raise, in the 8, 10, 12%, year after year, the rate of inflation, you are losing money by making the same amount of money on a fixed income. It's never been more important. People are getting squeezed with their expenses, with gas costs, with food costs. You flip one house. Let's say you flip one house and it's not 100 grand. Let's say you make 30 grand. You just do one house that you're not doing, the selling or the negotiating or doing the contracts on. You're just signing it on your phone. Somebody else is swinging the hammer. You're hiring the best people. It's not going to just do the work for itself. You do have to use our scripts. You do have to go out there and meet people and make the phone calls and make the texts. Feels like a bug right here. You do have to talk to the lenders. We have lender questionnaires. We have scripts for all this. We have tools for all of this. If you're not willing to do that, this game won't work for you. But if you are willing to do that on your lunch break, after work, whatever it is, just a single flip, a $30,000 profit, a $40,000 profit. How much would that change things for you? This freaking bug is here.
I see it.
How much would that change things for you if you can add an additional 40, 50, 60 grand to your income, right? How much would things change for you if you do 2 flips in a year? One for the first 6 months and one for the second 6 months. You wouldn't, people don't have to pull double shifts. People in our groups are replacing their income. They're making 3, 4, 500 grand their first year. That's not for everybody. This isn't an income claim, okay? But the people that do work get results, and it's exponentially, the return that they get on their investment is exponentially higher than, I think investing into ourselves, the return that you can get to build your skill sets, your mindset, specific knowledge on something that's very profitable, the more you can hone in on that kind of stuff, the more life-changing it can be. Not only from a money perspective, but for a freedom perspective. Like, we went and looked at this house today at what time? What time did we go? 11? 11:30?
Yeah.
We just left the house. I went over there. Carlene, she worked out this morning, went to a Bible study, and then we met at the house. And we just walked through, shot some content. We smelled terrible at the end of it. But we can do that. We can drop everything and go do that. We're going to go on vacation this weekend. Like, we're able to do those little things. I get to coach my kids' baseball teams during weekdays. Like, we take our kids to gymnastics, right? We moved our family from California to Tennessee to a beautiful home with a beautiful lot. And we're able to do that because we decide to do that, not because, money's going to allow us to do it if we save up on this certain time frame. Okay, I'm not a billionaire, you guys. I spend about an hour to an hour and a half a day on my flips, and that's it. But do the math, right? Not every flip is making 107 grand. Let's say every flip makes 45, 50,000 bucks. I got 17 of them going on right now. They're all going to sell at different points over the next 6 months. Let's say every one of them makes 20 grand. Okay, it adds up. Right? And that's something that I do very part-time. Now, I've been doing it for 10 years. Don't get me wrong. At first, it's not going to come that simple. But if this stuff speaks to you, you're willing to put in the work towards something that you'll be able to do for the rest of your life. If you do take action when you see opportunities, like, this stuff changes and saves people's lives. I'd be more than happy to help you with it. I'm looking for dream clients. I'm always looking for dream clients. But if you're not interested, that's okay too. At least hopefully you get a little bit out of this, some value out of this, maybe some entertainment. But with that, you guys, I'm out. Unless there's questions. And all that stuff with the coaching programs, mentorship program, link is down here. Watch the case study video. It's just me talking about what we do. Then you click on the link, you schedule a call. The call is free. It's a free consultation. You ask your questions. We'll make sure that it's something we can help you with. If it works, we'll give you the invite. Okay? Simple as that. And if it doesn't, no big deal. I feel like there's the same dude that's like, please explain. Yeah. I've been explaining. Where did this deal come to you again? It was a Redfin auto search. I'm sweating. Is AC on?
No, I think it turned off.
You turned it off? Hey. Can you do 2 deals at the same time with the same lender? Yeah. Of the 17 deals I have, I think 11 of them are with the same lender. Yeah, it's not the same as... here, let me take this dude out of here. We don't use that kind of language, brother. You're out. All right, so sorry about that. I had to take someone out. I don't need any weird shit in here, okay? Be respectful of other people that are in the room, even if they're being dicks. What was I saying? What was I?
Lenders, you were saying.
Oh, lenders. This isn't like the bank. If you're going to JP Morgan Chase or Wells Fargo, trying to do 11, 12 loans at the same time, is different. I think the most amount of investment loans, it differs by bank. Sometimes it's 5, sometimes it's 10, and they start getting really strict and really digging into your finances. With private money, like, this stuff doesn't show up on your credit, right? This stuff doesn't show, it doesn't, like, if I get this loan for 420, if I get that loan, my credit profile, my credit score is not going to say $420,000 to XYZ lender. A lot of times you get better rates if you have more properties going. Because each property, they're not basing it off of you. They're making the loan on the property itself. So if you can get 10 loans or 10 properties that have this type of spread, you can get the money all day. Now, if you're brand new to the game, you may be a little overwhelmed managing it from a couple of different angles. But you start getting used to it as you get your first one and your second one. You put one foot in front of the other, one step in front of the other, and that's how you make moves. Remember, at first, my first year, I did six flips over my first 12 months. I remember I did the first one. That only took like 3 months. Made 38 grand, crying, right? Like, never seen that kind of money in our bank account. Did the second one. I think I got it under contract right after we sold the first one. Second one made 20 grand. That one sold. And then I remember the third and fourth one were bought on the same day. And those ones, one made like 15, one made like 25, right? And I don't mean to write that off. But when I had those two at the same time, the process was relatively simple, but I was just thinking about it all the time. I can kind of disassociate myself. Like, It doesn't amplify my emotions anymore because it's not brand new. This is what I do. My identity, like I see opportunity, I move on it, I put the right people in place, we make magic happen, period. Now, it wasn't always that definite in my purpose. I was like, can I do this? Can I do 2 at a time? What am I going to say to this dude? I texted him an hour ago. He hasn't texted back. I'm going to go follow him on Facebook. Oh my gosh, am I going to call him from a blocked number? Is he going to walk away from me? Is the contractor not there? Who's showing up? Like, I would be thinking of stuff like that, which is normal. It's like a normal human reaction defense mechanism when you're doing something new. Because when you get outside your comfort zone, you feel vulnerable. When you feel vulnerable, emotions go through your body. You start thinking of weird shit. And all of a sudden you start making assumptions. Everybody goes through that. Anytime any of us go through anything new, especially me, okay? So it's not as, it gets easier as you go. The hardest one is always the first one because of what your mind is doing, playing tricks on you. You always have, I call it the law of average. It's your mind saying, yeah, you can't do this. Like, stay in your lane. You'll have friends and family like, oh, that's a scam. I've seen that on TV. That shit's not real. Like, that's normal. And that's the stuff that if you want to make it big and pursue your dreams, you have to cancel out that noise. And you have to be very certain with what you want and what it's going to take, who you have to be to get something you've never had before, okay? You set a big goal, you're going to have to improve your skill set, your habits, your thought process, your belief system. You're going to have to become a new you. And that should be what's going on. People are going to say, dude, you've changed. Well, yeah, that's the fucking point, right? Yes, I did change. I'm achieving something different than what I was doing when I was thinking small, trying to blend in, trying not, stay in your lane, make sure nobody notices me. If you do that, you're going to have goals that nobody notices, right? And you're going to achieve things that nobody knows. It takes a big mindset shift to go forward with this stuff. The numbers, realistically, you do this a few times, you practice a few times, the numbers are relatively simple. I'll give you a calculator, you can do this stuff in 60 seconds. But to actually go out there and make those calls to these agents, send that text, make the offer. I'd make this offer in an hour. Doing that, it forces you to come out of your shell and take bold action, take imperfect action, and not second guess the numbers that you see right there in front of you, right? When opportunity comes, you get rewarded when you take that opportunity. I've been reading Grant Cardone's new book, 10X Mentor. Highly recommend that. I think Grant Cardone's dope. I've had mixed feelings on him, but after reading this book, and actually it's an audiobook, so listening to it, I don't read too much. I don't read too good, okay? But listening to it, it's like, you need to set your goals bigger than you could ever imagine. Be uncomfortable and pursue them relentlessly with definiteness of purpose, with pure intention to achieve them. Set that standard higher for yourself and for your family and for your legacy. Or I'm not trying to tell you guys what to do. That's what I'm doing. I like something has been lit inside of me by reading stuff like that and being inspired and motivated by other people. And hopefully I can pass that along to anybody that, has fun listening to these things and watching these. So anyway, I'm going to go. It's getting late. We need to turn on the AC.
Yeah.
I'm going to do this with my phone. We've got that whole Nest system. Anyway, it's been real. Hopefully this makes sense. We're going to keep this up. Feel free to watch it again, ask questions. And you guys, if this stuff speaks to you, you got to hit the link in the bio. Take action. Go after your goals relentlessly, right? Money comes and goes. But if you change your habits, you change your skill sets, you change your thought process, nobody could take that from you, right? Somebody could take all the money from me, right? Somebody could take all that stuff. The court can take it. The government can take it. The government's trying to take it. Inflation can take it, taxes, all that kind of stuff. But your skill set and your mindset, knowing that you can maneuver through the market, you can build back, you can find opportunity, create opportunity anywhere, that shit can't be taken from me until I'm gone from this earth, okay? So hopefully you got something out of this. And I've left you with value. It's been real. I enjoy doing this. Appreciate all you guys. Have a tremendous amount of gratitude. I really get a kick out of sharing this stuff because it's changed everything for me. And happy investing, y'all. Take care. Love you.